Everyone wants to improve their life. They say, I want more success. I want better habits. I want to be happier. They keep waiting. They wait for motivation. They wait for a perfect day. They wait for the right opportunity, for the right feeling, for someone to tell them it's time. But the truth is, life doesn't wait. Growth doesn't wait. And change doesn't come when you feel ready. It comes when you decide. And the decision begins with a formula so simple that most people ignore it: leverage. Emotion, meaning. Tony Robbins doesn't speak in fantasy. He speaks in patterns that move people from stuck to unstoppable. And when he says you can change your life instantly, he means it. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now, right now, through the power of leverage. It starts with one question: what will it cost you if you don't change? Not someday. Now, what is the price of staying where you are? In that same mindset, same habits, same level. The human brain is driven by pain and pleasure. And if you don't use those forces, they will use you. That's why Tony teaches this. If you want to break through, you must link massive pain to what's holding you back. Not just logic, not just I know I should. You need to feel it, to connect real emotional pain to the patterns that are keeping you small. Whether it's procrastination, fear, self-doubt, addiction, until it hurts more to stay the same than it does to change. Nothing moves. But the moment it does, the moment you feel that pain, not just think about it, everything shifts. You can look at a habit for years and say, I should stop this, and nothing changes. But then one day something hits you. You see your child watching. You hear the doctor say, you need to make a change. You look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself. That moment, that's leverage. And it can change everything instantly. Leverage is power. It's when the scale tips so hard that you can't go back. And Tony knows this. If you don't create that leverage intentionally, life will do it for you painfully. Life will wake you up with loss, with failure, with regret. But you don't have to wait for that. You can create your own leverage now. Ask yourself, what is this costing my health, my peace, my dreams, my future? And don't answer with surface level thoughts. Go deep, because it's not just about what you know. It's about what you feel. When you connect emotion to behavior, that's when transformation begins. But leverage alone isn't enough. You can't just run from pain. You must run towards something greater. That's why you need meaning. You need a reason that lives deep in your gut, not a reason that sounds good, a reason that makes you move. You need to know who you're doing this for. Who needs you to rise? What kind of life you're fighting to create? Because discipline fades. Motivation comes and goes. But meaning gives you something to fight for when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when everything seems to fall apart. Tony doesn't just talk about success. He talks about why it matters. He teaches you to attach your habits to your vision, because when your actions serve your identity, your future, your family, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking if you feel like it. You just do it, because you're not just living for comfort. You're living for purpose. That's how you improve your life instantly. You stop seeing habits as chores and start seeing them as a mission. You link pain to the old story. You link pleasure to the new one, and you make that decision with your entire being. Not half-heartedly, not I'll try. You make it in a way that says, this is who I am now. This is where I'm going. This is what I refuse to tolerate any longer. And in that moment, that decision, your life begins to change instantly. Not because the results show up overnight, but because you show up differently. Your identity shifts. You're no longer the person trying to change. Or the change, you walk with intention. You speak with clarity. You no longer beg for permission to grow. You claim it. People will notice it. They'll say, you're different. And you'll smile. Not because they see it, but because you feel it. You've made a shift they can't understand, because it wasn't external. It was internal. It wasn't motivated by pressure. It was powered by purpose. And every day you reinforce that decision, that formula, that new standard, your results begin to catch up. You start doing things you never thought you could. And you stop being controlled by excuses, and you begin to look back at your old self. The one who waited, the one who doubted, and you'll feel proud. Not because they were weak, but because you outgrew them. That's the truth they don't tell you. Improvement doesn't take years. It doesn't take perfection. It takes ownership. It takes leverage. It takes connection to something deeper than goals, something rooted in who you want to become. And you already have everything inside you to begin. Not next week, not when things slow down, but now, this moment. Because the formula is simple: link pain to your limits, link power to your future, link meaning to your identity. Once you do that, your old excuses won't survive. They won't stand a chance, because they were built on a version of you that no longer exists. You've upgraded, you've elevated, and now the only thing left is to live like it. So live like it. Walk into your day like someone who already made the shift. Talk like someone who no longer negotiates with weakness. Show up like someone who's already claimed their breakthrough. Because the way you carry yourself now will determine how far you go later. Every movement, every breath, every choice, it all becomes part of the pattern that rewires your destiny. And it all begins with that formula. Leverage, meaning most people live in reaction. They say, I don't feel motivated today. I'm just not in the right headspace. It's not the right time. But those are just stories. Stories created to protect the comfort zone. Stories rooted in fear, and fear feeds on delay. But you're not here to delay. You're to decide. You decide what this moment means. You decide how this day begins. You decide whether the habits that held you back get to live another day or die right here. And it all happens in an instant, not because the world changes, but because you do. You stop chasing comfort and start chasing clarity. You stop hoping for change and start engineering it. You stop thinking about someday and start living like this is the day. That's how the most powerful people in the world operate. They don't wait for the right mood. They create the right mechanism. They build leverage into their lives. They remind themselves of what's at stake. They tap into deep emotional reasons, not shallow motivation, not quotes, not hype, real meaning, real fire, real drive, because when your reason is deep enough, you will figure it out. When your pain of staying the same becomes unbearable, you will move. When your vision of a better life becomes crystal clear, you will rise again and again, no matter how many times you fall. And that's what separates the average from the unstoppable. Average waits, unstoppable builds, average reacts, unstoppable designs. And if you're listening to this right now, it means there's something inside you that refuses to stay small, something that's hungry, restless, ready, and you don't need anyone's permission to activate it. You just need a decision, a real one that says, I am no longer willing to live beneath my potential. I'm done making excuses for why I'm not where I want to be. I'm done blaming circumstances. I am responsible and I'm ready. That's power. That's the moment everything begins to change, not slowly, but instantly, because real change doesn't require time. It requires truth. The truth about who you are, the truth about what you've tolerated, the truth about what you're actually capable of. And once you stop lying to yourself, you stop settling. Once you stop settling, you start evolving. Once you start evolving, there is no going back, because once you taste growth, real growth, you'll never be satisfied by small talk, small goals, or a small life again. You'll crave depth, you'll crave purpose, you'll crave challenge. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because you know what's on the other side of it. That's what the formula gives you. It gives you the weapon to slay your limitations, the clarity to destroy distraction, the emotional fire to burn through the walls that used to trap you. And the moment you own it, you become different. You don't walk like the rest. You don't talk like the rest. You don't think like the rest, because you've tapped into something deeper, something real, something no one can give you and no one can take away. And guess what's repeatable? You can do this every single day. You don't need the perfect environment. You don't need the perfect past. You just need the willingness to face yourself, to tell yourself the truth, to feel the pain you've been avoiding, and to use it. Not as a reason to shut down, but as a reason to ignite. You turn the pain into leverage. You turn the vision into obsession. You turn the moment into movement. That's how you transform. That's how you go from stuck to dangerous, from waiting up to walking in power. And you don't need a year. You need a choice, one decision, reinforced with real emotion, backed by meaning, fueled by repetition. You don't have to live another day in survival. You don't have to carry your old story into your future. You don't have to keep proving your worth to people who can't see your value. You just need to rise. And when you do, everything else will follow, because your energy changes, your language changes, your results change. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, you got focused, you got intentional. And that intensity, it moves mountains. That's what Tony Robbins is teaching when he says, use this easy formula to improve your life instantly. It's not about ease of effort. It's about clarity of direction. It's about finally understanding how to steer your emotions instead of drowning in them. It's about mastering yourself so you can master the moment. And no one can do that for you. No one can prime your mind. No one can fill your reasons. No one can face your excuses. That's your job. And the beauty of that, you're in full control. You're not waiting on the economy. You're not waiting on approval. You're not waiting for a green light from the world. You are the light. And this moment, this is your green light.